recording.
Line
Transit
1 and 2.
update for Sunday, August 6th, 2023. Sun is in
7.
gate 7 in the G,
Yep.
which is a part of the 731, which we were in 31, not this last transit, but 2 transits ago. And so today we're in the second line of it, correct? I'm just going to verify
Well,
that.
we're in the first line right now, and then around 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, we'll be switching to the second line.
Got it. Thank you for that. For any of you who do not know how to use the transits, the Neutrino app is awesome. This is it in Zodiac view.
Oh, whole wheel and all
Fred
that.
boat out of here. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Fred, for your time.
Let's disconnect you.
Has Fred just been ripping lo-fi this whole time?
No. I mean, maybe. No, it was more Tai Chi music. But anyway, then you go on the app. There's these little tabs right below your chart. And you can just select transit over there. I have mine set to moon only, which for some of the reflectors in here, you can see your moon transit here. So you go down here and I can hit transit only. That just shows me the transit. There's this nice little slider bar. Okay. There's this nice little slider bar that shows you can move forward in time. It goes 30 days in advance. And you can see kind of the dance that the planets do here. Then you can also turn moon only on, and you can see the moon is just going to go around. As you can see, the moon goes really, really fast. So if you turn the transit only off and you're a reflector, you're able to see your cycle. You know, everyone says wait out a lunar cycle. Well, guess what? It's the same every single time. Like for me, if something was to come into my field, I wouldn't have anything to respond. I could just look at the moon, check out the transits in the moon. And then my sacral turns on at some point. And then my spleen turns on. Then my emotions. Then my sacral again. So this doesn't mean that it changes my authority, but it does give me doesn't give me a little guidance at least into how to actually shift through some stuff in terms of, okay, if the moon is defining my emotions for me, I'm going to write out an emotion. How do I feel about this, right? How does it make me feel emotionally? If the spleen is there, doing a contrast of like, okay, I'm going to tap into my spleen. What do I know about this? Or how does it feel in my body in the sense of like, does it feel healthy? Does it not feel healthy? Sacral, obviously, I'm going to consult the isn't it? Okay, cool. And then I do that over the course of the 28-day moon cycle. And then that is going to, at the end of it, I'm going to like cache all that data, and our developer is going to add a notes section where we can enter in notes about how we feel about it, and then we'll be able to go back and look at that. Okay, so that's, some positive notes, but it was mostly like negative. I'm probably not going to do this thing. So just a quick, little intro to how to use that, because, reflectors were rare, and we actually have, I think, like 16 reflectors in here, which is surprising. We've got a lot of projectors as well, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I think we have most projectors.
I think, actually we have mostly projectors. But anyway, let's get back to the transits. Yeah. So, Gate 7, the Army, the role of the self in interaction, the point of convergence by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. Line 1, authoritarian, the iron band, both enlightened and despotic. Venus exalted, as in the basic values and rules imposed on a child. The capacity of the self to guide with authority. Detriment is the distorted intellect that believes only it knows best. The capacity of the self to insist that its authority is the best.
Line 1. 6 at the beginning means an army must set forth in proper order. If the order is not good, misfortune threatens. At the beginning of a military enterprise, order is imperative. A just and valid cause must exist, and the obedience and coordination of the troops must be well organized. Otherwise, the result is inevitably failure. Yeah, so we were talking about this yesterday as we kind of were going to go into the transit.
Mm-hmm. And now we're actually in it.
Yeah, we've been in it. And we've got to have a just and valid cause if we're going to gather together an army.
Mm-hmm.
If it's for some bullshit, then it's not going to be prosperous. It'll be a failure.
Mm-hmm. And also like thinking about the way the transits kind of blend into each other. We were just in 33 privacy, right? So it's like, hopefully within that privacy, you've been able to ascertain what is valuable, what reasons to assemble an army now are important, or what areas of your life that you want to organize, because the army is really, it's about leadership through organization, ultimately the point of convergence. So it's like, we're going to meet here at this time, and then the army shows up. Without this, you might have 31, you might be able to bark a lot of orders or have a lot of influence, but there's no platform for you to stand on, and no army for you to direct and speak to. So that's the first line of Gate 7. We're going to move into the second line probably in about like 6 hours. You checked it?
About 6 hours.
About 6 hours. We're going to move
on
into the
average,
second
but-
line. So that's, for us, that's going to be happening in the middle of the day here in Hawaii. And so we're going to move into the line of the Democrat, which is the second line, Hermit, which is the ability to lead by serving the will of the majority. In its exaltation, we have the application of universally accepted systems. When connected through the alpha channel to Gate 31 influence, the potential for widespread and revolutionary effect on society, the capacity of the self to lead when chosen. In detriment, it's elitism and degeneration by Democrats of democracy. It's the capacity of self, once chosen, to feel superior to those who chose them. So there's like a little bit of an ego thing that turns on, or a possibility of the ego thing turning on, of feeling elevated and superior to others, and specifically the others who chose them. So in the act of being chosen, does the hubris and the arrogance and the authoritarian turn on, or does the elected official do what he was elected to do, or she was elected to do, and keep the will of the people and the will of the majority in their heart?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the second line, when you look at the hexagrams, is the Yang line. So this is the one that they're referring to as the leader or the king, or the one gathering the army around them. So 9 in the second place means in the midst of the army, good fortune, no blame. The king bestows a triple decoration. The leader should be in the midst of his army, in touch with it, sharing good and bad with the masses he leads. This alone makes him equal to the heavy demands made upon him. He needs also the recognition of the ruler. The decorations he receives are justified because there is no question of his personal preferment here. The army, or the whole army, whose center he is honored in his person. Pretty deep, heady stuff. It's like,
I mean, Eric, you got anything on that?
yeah.
I don't.
No?
Yeah.
I got stuff on it. Always.
Always.
The concept that like the general is in his army, is it like the center of his army? Because there's nowadays it's almost like war is being fought through like video games, right? You can target drone strikes and all that stuff, but back in the day, if the army showed up and the leader of the army wasn't there, the army's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, why are we fighting this battle? I think a lot about like Leonidas from 300. Big 31-7 vibes to that guy, because he's like on the front lines with his dudes. And there's a book called The Gates of Fire. Have you guys ever heard of that? I told you guys about it. So it's like the battle at Thermopylae, the movie 300, the book that it's based on. It's called Gates of Fire. And they do a lot more like, talking about the Spartan culture, etc. But one of the things they talk about in terms of the war is when on the front lines, they would typically have like newbie, veteran, newbie, veteran, newbie, veteran, because naturally the newbies were not as good, right? And so it would cause the veterans to have to step their game up. And hi, baby, we're on video over here. Hi, baby. Oh, it's sweet.
Good.
Newbie, veteran, because the veterans would have to step up, right, to take care of the newbies. And then the newbies would be like, oh my God, I'm fighting next to a legend. I can't let this guy down. So it would kind of, make the front line stronger using the natural contrast of these people's skill level.
sense.
And then again, Leonidas, the king, was like right there in the front lines with them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, which is like what we've got here in the army. It's the king amongst all the other people, all the yin lines, the young line with all the yin lines working together to create the army. So yeah, which the theme of this is, so far been the fact that the king or the ruler or the leader must view himself as equal, or else, it can be seemed like as an imbalance if the leader is just like, oh, well, I'm up here leading. I don't need to bring myself down there to the village and be amongst all of those peasants. It's like, I'm here with these people because they're my people and I take care of them. So like you're saying, Leonidas is out there fucking fighting the war with them because like, that's where I need to be.
Right.
Gotta lead from the front sometimes.
Which is, both a inflation and deflation, because again, these are transits. If you don't have this gate active, there's either going to be an inflated or a deflated expression of this, in the sense that like you might feel superior to people out of nowhere, or you might feel like a responsibility to lead people, or a responsibility to keep other people's energy in mind and their will in mind over your own authority, which that's part of doing these transits, is so that we can keep these energies right in front of our face, because ultimately these are transits. These are programming neutrinos that, as for most of us, like they're not necessarily supposed to change our genetics or change who we are. Like, we've already been born, we've already used up our we've run our startup code, and we've integrated what was available during the time of our birth, and that's why we are the way that we are. So if you were born during this time, or if you have the 7, or if the 7 is in your earth or your sun, it means that you were born either during this time or on the opposite end of the year. That again is something like we're using the transits to, how do you say, resist the homogenization, is to instead of being conditioned, like you'll probably see out in the world, a lot of people are like rallying people up to do something. Like I remember during 33, this past transit, I'm pretty sure that's when the government announced that aliens existed.
I think that was it.
Which is like the secret that was let out. The privacy that was let out. So, we'll see what happens during Gate 7. Again, there's a point of convergence. So there might be that energy, and the idea is that not to resist it, but just to continue to allow your strategy and authority to eclipse what's going on in the outside world. Because what's going on in the outside world, in terms of what you observe, is just going to be the mental authority, and we want to drop out of the mental authority into the into the sacral, or into the emotional or splenic or ego or G center. And if you do have mental or lunar authority, what you're really looking for is, okay, is this environment like healthy for me, right? And so mental authorities, they're looking at the environment, they're pulsing the environment. Okay, I feel like it's healthy, but I might just be so open and reflecting, I'm going to go pulse some other environment. So it's important to keep the options open, especially for mental projectors and lunar authority reflectors. So with that being said, shall we move to the Earth Gate?
Yeah. Bring it down to earth.
Bring it down to earth. So I said something the other day that I actually didn't do much research on, but something about like the sun is the water that fills the cup, and then the earth is the cup. So the way that we ground, and this is just me, this part right here is not necessarily source material, but this is how, in using the transits and being with them, I've kind of explored. This is a good way to look at it for me, in the sense that Gate 13, which is the fellowship of man, the listener, this is the cup. So this is the cup that holds the energy of the army. It's the earth, so it's the grounding, balancing forces to the sun's programming, illuminating life forces. And we're in Gate 1 again. So empathy, the ability to relate and commune with everyone with equanimity. Exaltation is harmony through affection, a role of openness in listening to others with affection, and the detriment is a politician kissing babies, an openness that is never free of motives. Man, we should start like a political one, of just like political predictions based off the transits. That would be tight. Okay. I think that might be a move. Anyway, so I think this one's kind of straightforward. You know, affection drawn from authentic caring about everybody, or affection that is projected due to some kind of shady agenda.
Yeah, desire for attention.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I'll read the image again too, just to give anybody who wasn't here yesterday. The image of the 13.
Wait a second, you said
Yeah.
something important there about like doing it for attention. Because I was thinking like, doing stuff for attention is kind of like a not self of the throat, a not self of the G center, which is the center that gate 13 is, would be like looking for love or direction. So, for instance, the politician is kissing the babies because they want to be loved or they want to feel like they have a direction in life, as opposed to like looking for attention. Like it just kind of cuts different. But anyway, thanks for saying it. That was cool.
The image, heaven together with fire, the image of fellowship with men. Thus the superior man organizes the clans and makes distinctions between things. Heaven has the same direction of movement as fire, yet it is different from fire, just as the luminaries in the sky serve for the systematic division and arrangement of time, so human society and all things that really belong together must be organically arranged. Fellowship should not be a mere mingling of individuals or of things. That would be chaos, not fellowship. If fellowship is led to order, there must be organization within diversity. So it's all about having a diverse group of people in the fellowship so that there can be, organization amongst like the people. So the way I see this is like if there are different clans or groups within the village, you got these people over here that are working the swords and the steel and all that stuff, and then you got the hunters and gatherers, and you got the farmers. You want to get your heads of all of these different clans of the village together to fellowship. That way there can be, diversity of the whole group, rather than be like, oh, well, I'm going to take all of these blacksmiths. There's like 3 blacksmiths and maybe like 1 farmer and one one hunter or 2 hunters. There's like an imbalance. We want to have balance within the fellowship, which in this it's like it's the opposite of 7. So we have all the yang lines and the 1 yin line. Let's go into line 1. Let's see. So 9 at the beginning means fellowship with men at the gate, no blame. The beginning of union among people should take place before the door. All are equally close to one another. No divergent aims have yet arisen, and one makes no mistakes. The basic principle of any kind of union must be equally accessible to all concerned. Secret arrangements bring misfortune. Which also like continues that thought of like we want every clan that's a part of the village to like know what's happening. There can't be any secrets held from the other clans. We want everyone working in accordance with each other.
I'm like, this is all pretty clear, but I was also reading some of the stuff you posted last night in the Sage channel about how the first line is typically, there's a reason it's the investigator. It's the first time we're coming into contact with this energy in a way. And so there's a built-in innocence or ignorance that inspires the curiosity of like, what is this energy about? Right? Because ultimately, like we've just been talking about like the qualities of assembling and making sure that there are right people at the table. Whereas I feel like later on, we're going to start to move through, like the lines are kind of like the archetypal hero's journey of each of the gates. And so it's cool that this is actually pretty clear at this point, because I feel like the last 2 transits that we've done, the first lines have been like, what? We just kind of been like sussing things out, and now it's like maybe we're just getting better. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
used to it. Reading more I Ching.
Yeah.
With this, the investigator energy is like it's the beginning of the union among people. It takes place before the door, like before you even get to the gathering of the people. It's like if I'm gonna go meet with all these people and I've heard about them, I'm probably gonna investigate a little bit. Like, all right, who are you? Like, all right, head of the blacksmiths. Like, like, who are you? What's your history? What's your family lineage like? Like,
Right.
what have you been known for? So on and so forth.
Again, the context of the last two transits is like, which of the ones is actually the one influencing, and which is the one that actually has, like, typically the leader in a way is kind of, a hermit. Like, they make appearances, but also there are things that the leader keeps private within the community, right? Because they are the one that the Sun Gate 13, they're the one that people can come and confide in and tell their secrets to.
Mm-hmm.
So the leadership qualities are ones that where, you're a 13, which is the current,
Mm-hmm.
gate that we're in, where it's like people want to tell their secrets to you. You're the fellowship, you're part of the confidants. Then you're also able to embody exalted qualities from 33, privacy, keeping secret, right? And then keep that which is sacred, keep that which is secret, sacred.
Yeah.
And then then through that's where the influence comes from to lead the army, which is our Sun Gate for this transit. Oh my God.
Or the army is the Sun Gate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So did you want to read any more from maybe did you read the judgment already?
We haven't done the second line.
Okay.
You want to do the second line?
Let's do the second line. Yeah. Go ahead and read it out of there first. And
All
then
right.
We'll get this one. 6
in the second place means fellowship with men in the clan, humiliation. There is danger here of formation of a separate faction on the basis of personal and egotistic interests. Such factions, which are inclusive and instead of welcoming all men, must condemn one group in order to unite the others, originate from low motives, and therefore lead in the course of time to humiliation. So this is like if all the leaders got together, and then there was a few leaders who were like, well, maybe we should just like step to the side and have a separate conversation, a secret conversation, which is in the judgment, I think, here.
Read the judgment.
Yeah, let's read the judgment. Fellowship with men in the open. Success. It furthers one to cross the great water. The perseverance of the superior man furthers. True fellowship among men must be based upon a concern that is universal. It is not the private interests of the individual that create lasting fellowship among men, but rather the goals of humanity. That is why it is said that fellowship with men in the open succeeds. If unity of this kind prevails, even difficult and dangerous tasks, such as crossing the great water, can be accomplished. But in order to bring about this sort of fellowship, a persevering and enlightened leader is needed. A man with clear, convincing, and inspiring aims and the strength to carry them out. The inner trigram means clarity, the outer strength.
Bro, Boromir.
Boromir?
Yeah, because so Boromir comes from Gondor, right? And he's got his own agenda, but he is still a part of the Fellowship. But at the end, he tries to take the ring from Frodo, and then he ends up killed, right? But it's also like he is also having his dad, the steward of Gondor, is like whispering in his ear, like, take the ring for Gondor. Gondor has done so much, blah, 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 blah. We have the will of the people. So in this, how you say, coup, or in this like side conversation, they're still using the will of the people as the reason as to why they have to do this, their little, rogue ceremony, or like have their own agenda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Boromir. Which I might have to make an entire channel for this, but it's total side tangent here. I had the idea of how fun it would be. It's not necessarily, it's more like an exercise. It would be fun to make. I don't know how educational it would be, but to start to assign movies and then characters within movies to each of the gates, in terms of like what archetypes are being expressed. So like, for instance, Boromir could be the detriment of Gate 13. He's like the weak link in the chain of the Fellowship. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, that would be Tucker. That's extremely helpful. Supported. All right. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might just like make a channel, and then we can just kind of like, everyone just goes off in that channel. Yeah. Oh, we could vote on it. That's a great idea. So I haven't figured out the voting system yet. I haven't even touched that. There's so many cool things in Discord, but definitely we could vote on it. So maybe during this week, we'll have, Gate 7 and 13 and we can we'll take inventory of like what characters or what movies we think would be appropriate for Gate 7 and then Gate 13. And then on the 6th line day, we can all vote on it and bum, 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 bum. Let's see. Kind of like Reddit and community suggestions. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a good reminder to create the suggestions tab. But okay, cool. So it seems like everyone's excited about that. So let's do that. All right. Is that the end of line 2, bigotry?
Mhm.
So this is the rave eaching now. It's the risk always present that fellowship can only exist for a particular type, whether racial, religious, national, or intellectual. Exaltation is the tolerance as the least offensive manifestation of bigotry, a role of openness through tolerance. The detriment is the obsessive belief that the higher ideals cannot be embraced by the lower forms, an extremely difficult position where even the highest ideals provide rationalization for hatred, a role of openness so narrow that there is practically no one worth listening to.
Hmm.
Damn,
Okay.
it's kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Tolerance. So it's like, I don't accept you right out the gates. I don't reject you right out the gates, but I'm able to tolerate you as the best. This is one thing I talk about a lot actually with judgment. You guys have heard me say this, but it's like spaces that are like judgment free or all of you is welcome. They're bullshit. No one is without judgments. If you see someone walking towards you and they're different from you, judgment is how we discern the difference between ourselves. So rather than creating spaces, calling them safe, saying that this is a space free of judgment, they're lying. Okay, first of all, as opposed to a space here where I'm like, hey, instead of saying and lying to you and telling you that I'm going to be judgment free, what I'm going to say is, hey, is it okay if I just tell you my judgments when they come up? I'd rather just be transparent with you than lie to you and tell you that I accept you when there's really a part of me that it's hard for me to accept you. And this opens up conversations for actual connection as opposed to building each other's egos up or continuing to build up the conditioning. And that is a part of the conditioning. Is you see all these spaces out here, and like one of the reasons why this space is so safe is because I don't give a fuck. I like you, right? I love you. And if there's something for me that's like off, or if I have a judgment, I'm going to tell you because I care about you, because maybe there's a better place for you that's not here, and I think that's why a lot of people are probably sticking around, because it's like this is like a real space. And
Yeah.
I have that with these guys. Like, these are my friends that I actually hang out with on the daily. So if they're doing something that I'm judging, instead of, it's not that I'm not accepting who they are. It's more so along the lines that I want to investigate, and I'm curious about them. So with that being said, it's a safety that comes from reality, not the idealism of what we want.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to have those difficult conversations with people that fosters real connection. It's good. Yep, exactly.
That's interesting to think about the judgment thing. Like if you like, oh, there, you got a mic too. Nice.
Yeah.
If you expand that topic a little bit of the judgment-free zone, that's actually like peak homogenization, because what's actually being said in the like quote normal narrative of a judgment-free zone is, I don't recognize any of your uniqueness.
Ooh. Oh, damn, bro. Oh,
And so in
my
any of these so-called judgment-free zones, it's like, okay, cool, we're all gray here.
Oh,
Yeah. Instead of having the full color spectrum, like I may be green, but you're red.
Not only I don't recognize any of your uniqueness, I refuse to recognize any of your uniqueness,
Yeah.
because if I did, it's a problem.
right. Or
It's a judgment.
Yeah, exactly. It's a judgment, and judgments are wrong, and then therefore, everyone just come down to my level. That's another thing I think it is too. It's like, instead of actually having the ability to elevate each other through diversity, like predator and prey have an interesting relationship, right?
Mhm.
It's like, fish swimming in the ocean, one of them develops teeth, starts eating the other ones. So those guys start to have their babies on land. Okay, now the predators can't eat those guys. So what do the predators do? They start to jump on land. And specifically, there's actually a show. Have you guys seen Walking with Creatures or Walking with Monsters?
No.
They talk about the evolution of life on this planet. And literally, when the fish started to have their babies on land, the predators started to go on land And the predators were actually fucking way better at being on land because they were just something about their lungs or the way that they absorbed oxygen. So predators got to the land first, and they just like, you know, procreated and did all this stuff. But there's this balance between predator and prey where the prey forces the predator to adapt, and then the predator forces the prey to adapt. And that's a part of the uniqueness. And thankfully, as human beings now, you know, we've reached a level of consciousness where we don't have to actually kill each other to make each other adapt. But we have to be honest with how we feel about shit and honest with our judgments.
Yeah, and it's not a physical killing that has to happen anymore. It's more of like a spiritual or an ego death that happens where we point something out in one another that may be a judgment, and sometimes it's an accurate judgment, you know, a charge that's like, yo, you're acting this way. This part of you needs to die. And that person can either accept that and see it as a value, or they can be like, no, fuck you. I don't, that doesn't resonate with me.
Right. Which, again, like an educated person would neither accept or reject anything outright, but at least entertain the idea and ascertain what kind of truth is in there. And then also in me projecting my judgment, there's always a part of me that's open and excited really to hear like, well, who's standing behind you? Like, why am I judging you? Am I judging you because it's about you and there's something you need to correct? Or are you just being the reflection that's going to then help me heal something that I've got going on with my dad, who you remind me of, or my mom, or a past partner that you remind me of? So in delivering a judgment, there has to be the humility of, where did we talk about humility? Anyway, there has to be. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. So with that being said, there has to be that openness, and part of me delivering judgment and part of the authority delivering judgment is there's this openness and receptivity to see like, hey, you know what? This also is about me. It's not like you are the one completely to blame. There's something in here. And in a way, it's like, if you let me project onto you, or if you let me cast my judgment on you, you're giving me an opportunity to, again, see the reflection and then see what's behind that reflection, see like the root cause of why I have that judgment in the first place. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. We should switch gears.
Iching time. That's right. You got to go to.
I got 15 minutes.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Dragon, the little death before death. Real deal mirror magic. Yep. This is the Iching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is the new part of our whole human design thing.
You said switch gears, and I was like, I thought this was already the Iching.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so we were looking at the Iching for the transits, and now we're just going to
Board and mock up.
we're just going to pull the Iching and just do like a
Green,
general
please.
reading for the collective. So when does the transit change?
right?
It's going to be in about
eventually.
6 hours, Tim. You can get more accurate with the actual time that it shifts on your app. So we're going from the first line to the second line. Okay.
Yo, what up, Prana?
What up? All right. So first line is going to be 2 heads and 1 tail.
Yin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yin.
Wow, look at my super straight lines, y'all. Upside down.
I don't even know if anyone can see this.
We'll get
I need to
there.
get like one of those fat markers.
Young.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You are so good at counting. I mean, there's a pattern. to it.
There's a pattern. So
it's
if there's
one head-
one head, that's a yang. If there's one tail, it's a yin.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I posted that in the.
I read that,
Sage.
but you know me. So yin.
Yep.
2 heads and 1 tails is a yin.
So
Okay,
it looks like we
that's
got
the first trigram.
water, I think.
We got the greater yang,
Okay.
3 heads. Then we got 1 tails, yin. Damn, I'm good at throwing coins now, bro. You just taught me the hack.
Oh, there he goes.
There it goes.
Greater yin.
Okay.
And that's 6.
it.
Cool. All right, let's see what we got here. So for those of you that are not in the Sage channel, you have to assign yourself that role in the channels and roles. I
This
wanted
right
to make
here.
some kind of like hidden, some hidden roles, but they're like, I'm looking at them like classes. Like Ronan is leading the Cosmic Sorcerer, which is like more astrology based human design. Luke and I are leading the the Sage, which is more Iching focused, and then
Mhm.
we also have the Hunter class, which is more about like physical movement. And so, if anyone's looking for like a new workout or anything like that, Hunter. But all you have to do is go up to the channels and roles, and like right below the server guide, and just select. You could select all of them, but I wanted to make some kind of little gamification going on.
Is the greater piece of those two lines, is that like detriment or whatever the opposite of detriment?
It would be, so if there was one changing line, so the dot,
Uh-huh.
when we roll 3 yang or 3 heads or 3 tails, that indicates like a changing line or a divination. So if there's one, then we would read the line, like the judgment, and then the line of that hexagram. But when there's 2 like this, you'll see what happens.
We'll just read the
change
judgment and the
them.
image.
So
yeah. But with 2, we don't do the changing, right?
no, with 2 we do the changing. We don't do the single line divination.
Okay, so we got 40, gate 40. So yeah, deliverance. This is the water below the thunder. So here the movement goes out of the sphere of danger. The obstacle has been removed. The difficulties are being resolved. Deliverance is not yet achieved. It is just in its beginning, and the hexagram represents its various stages. So the judgment, deliverance, the southwest furthers. Let's go. I love the southwest. If there is no longer anything where one has to go, returns bring. Oh, okay. Let me just start over here. Deliverance, the southwest furthers. If there is no longer anything where one has to go, return brings good fortune. If there is still something where one has to go, hastening brings good fortune. Okay, this is super relevant for me. Southwest. I'm literally about to travel to the southwest in like a week and a half. And it's talking about return brings good fortune. So let's go.
Oh,
good
sweet.
fortune. Good
If there's
fortune.
something there for you.
If there's something, there is something there for me. There's plenty there
quite
for
a
me.
few things there for you, bro.
There's a lot to do there.
Yeah, there's a lot to do there. So.
Yeah. So this refers to a time in which tensions and complication begin to be eased. At such times, we ought to make our way back to ordinary conditions as soon as possible. This is the meaning of the Southwest. These periods of sudden change have great importance. Just as rain relieves atmospheric tension, making all the buds burst open, so a time of deliverance from burdensome pressure has a liberating and stimulating effect on life. One thing is important, however. In such times, we must not overdo our triumph. The point is not to push on farther than is necessary. Returning to the regular order of life as soon as deliverance is achieved brings good fortune. If there are any residual matters that ought to be attended to, it should be done as quickly as possible so that a clean sweep is made and no retardations occur. So yeah, what I'm getting out of that is, don't overdo the triumph. Because this is the gate of deliverance. Let's go ahead to the image. Thunder and rain set in, the image of deliverance. Thus the superior man pardons mistakes and forgives misdeeds. A thunderstorm has the effect of clearing the air. The superior man produces a similar effect when dealing with mistakes and sins of men that induce a condition of tension. So this is sounding like, to me, is like there's a clearing in the air. The oxygen is literally being ozonated by the thunder that's coming down and striking the earth with the rain that's coming down as well. Because as we know, we've been talking to our friend Kai about ozone and ozone therapy. There are 3 places that ozone exists, one of them being in the thunder or moving water. So in this, there's like a clearing of energy, like we were literally just talking about earlier, like that can happen where if there's something that has been of wrongdoing, can be cleared with this energy.
So then today would be a good day to take inventory of anything that doesn't feel clear to you. And the I Ching is telling us be a successful day to kind of clear that energy, which ultimately is render forgiveness.
Yeah, render forgiveness. Through clarity, he brings deliverance. However, when failings come to light, he does not dwell on them. He simply passes over mistakes, the unintentional transgressions, just as the thunder dies away. He forgives misdeeds, the intentional transgressions, just as water washes everything clean. Whew. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. You guys got anything, Eric? You want to add anything to that? No.
No,
Cool.
that was solid.
So
So now with the changing lines, the yin becomes the yang and the yang becomes the yin, which when Luke was talking about, or what he posted last night, is the concept that the changing lines are considered to be like older lines, and that they change, like they are reborn as the opposite in their next life, which is the changing lines, and whereas like the non-changing lines are younger lines, and so they persist into the next, like they become adults. So we have 4 and 4, 40 and 4.
4. Yeah. Now we're moving to gate
I don't know if anyone
4.
can see that.
Probably not, but whatever. It's there. The intention is set. 4. Did you have anything you want to add from 40 in the Ray Beaching?
The deliverance or aloneness is the point of transition between struggle and liberation. I'm trying to remember where 40 is.
Yeah, where does this tell us?
No, I think
No.
It's in the ego.
Ego?
it's in the ego reaching towards the solar plexus. So then that would be like
Channel of community.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, hey, Tucker, I don't know if you're still here, but see you later. What's up, bro?
Peace.
A channel of community. So this is bringing workaholism. The channel of community and the idea of clearing is making me think of, I'm like a little resistant to say it in this space, but it's really good to talk about. Wow, I'm even blanking on it because I've looked away from it for so long, but it's a really important practice in Hawaiian culture. What is it called? Pono? Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm resistant to talking about it is because so many people have taken it and done it in a way that is not true to the culture of it.
That is hella not Pono.
But yeah, it's not Pono. It's the opposite of Pono. But this clearing energy is what that Ho'oponopono was created for. It was getting together, getting the army together to talk in a circle and actually have a clearing of like somebody had a charge with them, like any people. It was like where the truth could be spoken. Like we were talking about with this Discord, we all speak the truth with each other here. We're not going to hold back judgments in a way that is like Ho'oponopono, where we can all be clear with each other and talk about charges and things that need to be cleared.
Are you good on time? I don't want you to be late and have to rush.
5 minutes. We're doing it.
Cool.
All right. We'll go on to gate 4. So now we have the mountain above the water. So the thunder has changed to the mountain. Yeah, Meng, youthful folly. In this hexagram, we are reminded of youth and folly in 2 different ways. The image of the upper triagram, Ken, is that of the mountain. That of the lower, Kon, is water. The spring rising at the foot of the mountain is the image of inexperienced youth. Keeping still is the attribute of the upper triagram. That of the lower is the abyss, danger. Stopping in perplexity on the brink of a dangerous abyss is a symbol of folly of the youth. However, the 2 triagrams also show the way of overcoming the follies of youth. Water is something that of necessity flows on. When the spring gushes forth, it does not know at first where it will go, but its steady flow fills up the deep place blocking its progress, and success is attained. So even with this, since we've been talking about Hawaiian culture, reminds me of the Ahupua'a. So where the water comes down the spring of the mountain, the Ahupua'a, which is like a village that would be set along a waterway, all this water doesn't know where it's going to go, but the water is actually going to go down and feed the crops that are growing in different places. So that water is very important to the community that needs to grow and have food to eat. So the judgment, youthful folly has success. It is not I who seek the young fool. The young fool seeks me. At the first oracle, I inform him. If he asks 2 or 3 times, it is importunity. If he importunes, I give him no information. perseverance furthers. So this goes in. It's got like 3 paragraphs. In the time of youth, folly is not an evil. One may succeed in spite of it, provided one finds an experienced teacher and has the right attitude towards him.
Yeah.
This means, first of all, that the youth himself must be conscious of his lack of experience and must seek out the teacher. Without this modesty and this interest, there is no guarantee that he has the necessary receptivity which should express itself in respectful acceptance of the teacher. This is the reason why the teacher must wait to be sought out instead of offering himself. Got something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so 4 is in the ajna. It connects to 63. 63 is after, which is like ultimately doubt. The head wants to ask questions. It wants to know why things are the way they are. 4 is the thing that then answers those questions. And so it's like looking at the head now is like this patient elder who's like, is this young one ready to start creating and formulating and leading? I'm now going to, he's ready. He's asking me like, hey, what's going on? But the 63 is the thing that provides like those questions. And then the 4 is the one that is formulating the answers. For instance, the elder could ask, where do you think this water is going to go? Where should we plant the crops?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What's going to be best to plant first? And he lets the youth kind of like, how you say, formulate those answers in the mind, so that the youth can then become strong of his own and like actually exercise his mental faculties rather than just being told this is what to do. And this is a projected channel, so that makes a lot of sense. So a big part of that as well is I'm not just going to go try and teach all the youth how to take care of the village. I'm going to sit back and wait for the one that genuinely cares about the village, the one with the army or the one with the 4, right? The one who actually has the capacities to do that kind of stuff, those activities, to come to me and start answering the questions. And I might even put it out to everybody, you know, again, like if the 63 is defined, it's like, what's going to happen? You know, where's this going? I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about that. And then the kid that raises his hand and then like, well, what if we do this? It's like, kind of reminds me of how Uncle Wes was, we went to this Lakota thing. We use Lakota, yeah? Playing Wolf?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this chief came to Maui and me and Luke went to go to his seminar and talk. And one of our elders here, Uncle Wes, he asked if Chief would sing a ghost dance song or something, and just the energy of it. And Chief was like, "There's songs that we don't sing and all that stuff." And at first I was like, "Wes, you just embarrassed yourself." Yeah. And then I was like, "Wait a second. He's saying that because there's probably some eager hippies in here that are like learning sacred songs that are not supposed to be sung, that are inappropriate for, you know, just casual singing, or that are sung, that have been sung, but are not supposed to be sung again because of the severity of the situation or whatever." And I was like, oh, I see that. But I was very like, I started doubting Uncle, and then I kind of had my own revelation. I was like, Uncle's pulling up. And it says same for Hanging Gate. Yeah. All right.
Nice. Let's do the image real quick and then we can call it.
All right.
A spring wells up at the foot of the mountain, the image of youth. Thus the superior man fosters his character by thoroughness in all that he does. A spring succeeds in flowing on and escapes stagnation by filling up all the hollow places in its path. In the same way, character is developed by thoroughness that skips nothing but, like water, gradually and steadily fills up all gaps and so flows onward. Mic drop.
Flow onwards, my friend. Flow onwards.
Fill those spaces. Anywhere you're feeling empty today, good opportunity to fill up those spaces.
Fill it with forgiveness and deliver yourself.
Deliver yourself from evil.
Deliver yourself from the mental pressure, the homogenization, and evil. All right, guys. We love you so much. Recording is going to be up in, 5-10 minutes. So feel free to tune back in or share it out. Love you guys. I'll probably play some lo-fi music in the lounge. So see you guys later. Bye.